All right, I'd like to thank everyone tonight for coming to the September 24th, 2013 Village Council meeting. Kevin, roll call please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Here.
Ms. Gerber.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Ms. Krafka.
Here.
Ms. Elliott.
Here.
We have 5 for a quorum.
If we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. Get right down to business. You all have a copy of the September 10th meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look through those?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion, I have a second. Kevin, roll call, please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Ms. Krafka.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
Next order of business is approval of the bills. Does everybody have a copy of the bills? Anybody don't have a copy? Anybody have any questions on those bills? If not, I'd entertain a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Kevin, roll call, please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Ms. Krafka.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
Next order of business is legislation. We only have one piece of legislation tonight. It is Amelia Village, Ohio Ordinance O-2013-42, an ordinance by the Council of Amelia Village, Ohio, making supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2013. And the reason for this is we're moving some funds around so we can go ahead and pay for that truck. So that is what all this supplemental appropriation is for. So if I don't have any questions on that, I move to suspend the rule. I need a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on 3 separate dates.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Kevin, roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Ms. Krafka.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
This time I need a motion for the adoption of the ordinance.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Kevin, roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Ms. Krafka.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. That's all our legislation for tonight. Our next order of business is our police chief report, Mr. David Friend.
Seems like I was just up here a couple weeks ago. Trying to catch up. We've had a lot, it seems like we've had a lot going on, but it's mostly just the usual type stuff, neighbor problems, few domestics, things like that. We've been very busy at the west end. I think we've had 60 calls up there at Kroger's already. Had like almost 20 at the gas pumps themselves. So we've been getting to it really good. I want to talk about breaking and entering of an unoccupied house because we've been having some of those, and it's mostly kids that find an empty house and they decide to go in and play their games in there or whatever they're doing in there. When the officer approached the kids and a neighbor called and he told them that they were breaking and entering, right away they said, "We didn't break anything, the window was open." So just because you don't break anything, it's still breaking and entering when they enter a residence, an unoccupied residence. Of course, it would be more extreme if it was an occupied residence, but, and nevertheless, those teenage kids did get in trouble for that, for breaking and entering, or B&E, which will be dealt with in juvenile court back there. We had around Lori Lane and Main Street, a prostitute arrest up there. And there was another one up there too. We haven't apprehended her, but we haven't seen her for the last week or so. And this was a visiting person who was sort of homeless that apparently she didn't have any other means of money or something, so she decided to try it that way. Under administrative, the newest officer started his field training yesterday under Officer Wood, so he's underway. And I would like to, I brought this up to the mayor, but all of our guns are going to be issued here soon, and it's just enough for all the officers, excluding myself because I have my own just like it. I didn't need one from there, but we got to talking and we thought if somebody dropped their gun and bent their sight and they couldn't use that, then they wouldn't have a replacement gun just temporarily to replace that, you know. So I was thinking about maybe getting an extra gun for that reason, so nobody would be without a gun. Because sometimes those things happen, or they lose them in a scuffle or something, you know, and they end up getting, you know, broken or something where they would need some time to repair them. And our guys can repair them now. We put through 2 through 6 hour, and we could go over there to UT and use their facility or any other part that they would have. There's no problem in that, but just to be able to have that guy finish the shift or maybe work the next night with a gun like the one he is qualified with, maybe we should probably talk about that. But I recommend at least we buy another one, so, just for that reason. I need a meeting with the Finance Committee coming up. I know you just met yesterday, but if I could meet with you sometime this week or next week, that'd be great. Maybe we could schedule something there. And I guess that's it. My report is really short. So, all the rest of the papers you have, you can look over. The calls, we've had more calls this August than we did the last August, 50 more. So, any questions or comments or anything like that?
Chief, initially we purchased 2 extra guns, but we filled those with the newest part-time.
Well, we talked about getting 10, remember that back then?
Mm-hmm.
But we ended up getting 8, and, you know, I was hoping when they came it was gonna be 10, but apparently we just ordered the 8. But we did talk about, you're right, we did
Right.
talk about those 2 extra ones.
But we hired additional people, so.
Yeah, since
So,
then.
yeah,
Yeah. As a matter of fact, well, right now, the amount of guys we have on, plus myself, is where I started 2 years ago. That's the amount of guys we have on is where I first started, because we lost 3 part-time, we got 3 part-time now.
Are we gonna need another one for the new part-timer as well?
He has one.
Okay.
He counted in the 8, so I'm fresh out of pistols.
everybody will have supplied by the village weaponry.
They do now, except for myself and I have my own, but it's exact same weapon, so, and they're very nice, really nice.
I say, I go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and purchase another gun, the 6 hour, same model.
Second.
Got a motion, I got a second. Kevin, roll call, please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Campbell.
Yeah.
Ms. Krafka.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
I should note that we do get law enforcement price, so it's $645, but if you an individual or civilian would go out and buy one, it's $1,000 for this thing, so pretty good deal on it. And it's never gonna go down further, it's just gonna keep going up. So.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. I believe the fire chief is next.
You are correct.
You'd like to take the floor, chief?
Absolutely. Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening. Gary Alford representing Union Township Fire Department. And our report for August is as follows. In August, we made 45 EMS runs. Of those, 25 occurred during the day, 20 at night. Of the transports, and there were 34, we transported one person to Children's Hospital, 19 to Claremont Mercy, and 14 to Mercy Anderson. 23 people refused treatment. And our average EMS time for response was 6 minutes, 13 seconds. Fire was 5 minutes and 45 seconds. We had 18 fire incidents for a total of 63 runs. And that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
You know where we were last year on those runs, Chief, by any chance?
I do not. I can find out, I don't have that off the top of my head.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, maybe at our next council meeting, kind of bring a year in summary where we were last year compared to this year on our fire runs, if you wouldn't mind.
I'd be happy to.
Is the EMS a little higher on response time? Did we have an anomaly?
It is, but I think, and it would probably take a long time to go into that answer. If you report an average for a run, it really kind of does a disservice because there are no real averages in response times. What might be a better thing is report a percentile so that you can say 90% of the runs were within 5 minutes or whatever. You know, when you talk about these runs, there are a myriad of problems that occur in some cases. Sometimes people don't know exactly where they're at. Sometimes we get bad addresses. And the other side of that is, in some cases, we might be very close coming back from another runner right there. So we might show a 15-second response time, which really doesn't show anything other than we happen to be there at the right time by happenstance. So, you know, when you talk about averages, there's a lot of reasons and it can be skewed very easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of seconds, but.
It is,
You know.
it is.
Every
And like I
second
say,
counts, but.
absolutely,
I just-
and we absolutely look at those, you know, we're at dispatch all the time about making sure we get those dispatches out as quickly as possible. And, you know, unfortunately, and I'm sure the police chief can vouch for this, the anomalies and things that happen in the course of a day as far as emergency runs and issues that come up, and so they're kind of all over the place. But, you know, it is a little bit longer than a fire run, but, you know, without going back and looking at each one, I couldn't tell you right now. But like I say, when you get into averages for runs, there are no such things as average runs per se, or an average time, if you will. I don't know if that helped or was.
Well, it helps, I just, you know, noticed it crept up a little bit.
It did.
And it's not much, but.
It did.
You know,
And I
just
don't-
wanted to make sure it wasn't, you know, a constant creeping and creeping and creeping, but
And I
I'm
don't
sure
know-
anomalies happen.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know if there were some runs occurred, it could have been multiple runs here, even all at the same time, that, you know, the second or third unit coming out here, then is gonna come from a farther distance, and, you know, that's the nature of the business, unfortunately. If we could schedule all the runs and say, wait a minute, 15 more minutes to make that next run would be good, but, you know, that could have been the case, and I really don't know, but we're always looking at this. If you talk to our dispatchers, I talk to them a lot over there about making sure that we get people out. And that's actually part of our accreditation process that we go through too, is how quickly do we get the runs out, how quickly do we respond, how quickly do the dispatchers get those runs out to us.
I think traffic has gotten very thick on 125 in the last month or two, because I notice I sit for a long time, so I'm sure that ambulance
Sure.
coming down through town
Well,
has
and-
got to be a nightmare.
Sure, and not to belabor that, you know, we can have some cases where there might be an accident, and that backs up traffic, and so that increases that particular run too. Weather, you know, we could have a storm, traffic lights are out, you know, backs up traffic at lights that are not working. Hopefully everybody's stopping at that, because that becomes a stop sign, but, you know, there are a myriad of things, number of things that could influence that. So we take a look at that, and, you know, but like I say, not to really get into this, but when you talk about an average, you have to keep in mind that there are no average runs. There's no average time per se. I can't go back and say, we had a run that took us 5 minutes and 45 seconds because we would average that out.
Okay.
We wish that we could be coming by and happenstance and would be right there, but
you know, sometimes the other side of that's true too.
That's all I have.
Any other questions, Chief? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Recreation.
Just want to mention the village having its first Halloween festival this year. Saturday, October 19th at Spencer Shake Park from 12 to 4. Still looking for donations and prizes, any residents or businesses that would like to participate. And we're also doing the decorating contest again this year, which will be judged the 26th and 27th, and well, actually, 19th and 20th, I'm sorry. 19th and 20th, Saturday and Sunday is when the judging will be, and the winners will be announced on the 22nd council meeting. That's all I have.
Zoning.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. In my report in writing of how many permits were issued and violations sent out. Permit-wise, we were fairly slow. We've had, I think with things to start picking up here with some of our commercial businesses in the next month or two. We've had 34 letters of violations sent out, 26 are closed, 2 were sent to Beaches Lawn Care, 5 still have a date to comply, which means they have to the end of the month. So I did update our business list for the village, make contacts, got good contact names, phone numbers, things like that, and tried to put it in some alphabetical order. So we have that, so if anyone wants a copy of that, I do have that available. The mayor and I met with Annette Decatur, who is one of the grant coordinators for Pima County. And she works with the community block grant. We do have some more survey incomes to do. I'm sorry to tell you, we don't have quite enough of those that we have to finish up, so we just need about 120 more.
You want to elaborate a little bit on that, so if anybody's watching, what this income
Sure.
survey is all about, and what it looks like, and how easy it is to do?
The income survey is a tool that the state uses to identify incomes within an entity. It does not affect how you get your income, it doesn't affect anything else. They don't care how you're getting this income in, they wanna know how many people live in that household, and there's a range of like 9 different incomes. And if somebody asks you, you just say, this is my range. That doesn't give you, they don't want an exact number. But what we're trying to do is there are certain levels that will help the village qualify for certain kinds of grants with different incomes. So that's what we're trying to find out. This survey will be good for 5 years, so we won't be doing this on a yearly basis. You know, it's not, we don't use this for anything else, it stays here in the village. We compile this information and then on one sheet, give that back to the county. So, and it's, you know, how many, this is a percentage of incomes, how many people are in that household, how many people were surveyed, blah, blah, blah. There is nothing that goes beyond that.
Just want to make sure they understand it's a very simple survey form that, and they're just going to ask you generic questions. You don't even have to tell them your name. It's just the address that goes on it. These little pieces of paper here can save the village taxpayers tons and tons of money when we go out and apply for grants, for parks, for highways, for streets, for sidewalks, for any type of grant that we apply for. This is a main component to see if you qualify for that. So if everyone would be able to just, you know, briefly give you 5 seconds to answer that information, it would be a big useful tool for the
Very
village.
useful. And if anybody in the community has suggestions for grant ideas, then please contact the mayor or myself, because we would like to have some public input as to where they'd like to see that grant money go. So, you know, we do have some suggestions on what we can do right now, but we do need to have more of our income surveys. Because you have to have a certain amount into that, of the population, you have to survey a certain amount of the population, so.
I think we have, is right at 300. We need 100 more is what we need. We've already done a lot of knocking on doors, a lot of footwork. So
Right, and the ones that we have to do are like, we can have so many no responses, but we have too many no responses, so we have to come back and have a response one way or the other. So I think we'll go back to the no response people, and maybe, you know, hit another street or two, but that will be something that has to be done within the probably next 30 days.
And I think I've got a packet for each of council tonight. I think each one can have 25 surveys to take out, knock on doors, so we can get this done.
Be awesome. Anything else? Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Danny. Public input. This is the time for anybody in the public who would like to step up to the podium and state your name and make any suggestions, comments. If not, a suggestion came to me, so I moved forward with that suggestion. Just to let you know, we had a comment about our light at Lori Lane, on it wasn't staying timed long enough for people to get across the road there. So I went out to Kemet Credit Union, their light's at 33 seconds. Amelia Branch is at 30 seconds, and Lori Lane's at 30 seconds. And I think people need to realize this is a brand new light, so it's kind of unique to the other two lights. Actually, about 5 seconds into the light, a hand starts flashing. So some people get confused and they think, should I turn around, should I go back? You continue on because it's gonna count down 15 more seconds before it actually turns completely red. So each one of those are 30 seconds, but the new one is a little confusing. Because 5 seconds into walk, all of a sudden that big giant red says no walk, but it really doesn't mean no walk until it goes solid. So just wanted to clear that up for anybody that would have an issue with that. I think I somewhat got on that. Any other public input? If not, before we get into council input, I need one of the council people to read that.
The one,
You can
the
magnify it a
one that
little.
can see.
I should have gave it to Katie.
All right. I'd like to move that we go into executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes under Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G2.
So I would need a motion.
Second.
That would be your motion. I need a second. Kevin, roll call, please.
Ms. Elliott,
Yay.
Ms. Crafton,
Yay.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson. Passes 5-0. We are in executive session at 7:32.
All right, Julie, can you meet with us in the back, please? We'll go ahead and come back from the executive session at 8 o'clock. Kevin, roll call, please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Here.
Ms. Gerber.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Ms. Crafton.
Here.
Ms. Elliott.
Here.
All present.
All right. Thank you for being patient. We'll go on to council input. Do we have any council input tonight?
I have something. Jones Fish Hatchery will be installing the lights for the fountain there at Sedona Ridge tomorrow morning. They're gonna be putting in 2 lights, with the timer on it, so they won't be running all day long. And I also inquired about putting colored bulbs in there for holidays and different occasions. And, the bulbs themselves are $75 a pop and $89 for them to install them. And then also in the winterizing of the fountain, we would be looking at $425 for them to remove it, clean it, get it prepped for winter time.
Do you know when they would be removing it for winter time?
It wouldn't be till after Christmas. I wouldn't want it removed till after Christmas. Once we reach the Christmas mark, first of the year, temperatures are just getting too cold to have something like that running. So probably about that time we'd yank them out, at least get through the holidays.
Are they gonna move it too
Put it in the center of the pond,
tomorrow?
yes.
Awesome.
Didn't we remove it in the past?
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it
We-
removed.
Probably 4 years ago is when we last pulled it.
I know we had a newspaper paper reporter called us, Mr. Keith from the Community Journal, and he asked me a dozen questions about that, and I told him I wasn't here, I don't remember if there was lights in it or anything like that.
Yeah, there's never any lights, but we always had that issue with people pulling it in so they could fish there, so.
We may want to
But I
consider,
guess they're gonna redo the anchorage and all that as part of that.
I believe it's anchored directly to the bottom. What we could consider would be investing in a somewhat inexpensive aluminum boat where we can pull it out ourselves and clean it, prep it, put it back in the spring, and if we decide to change the bulbs out different times a year, we could do all that ourselves. I could do that myself.
There's no boating allowed.
Well, then we get a
Blow up raft.
So that's a thought.
Chris will swim out there.
There's no swimming.
So now you know why they've been pulling the thing in with a rope. I think that's a good idea, Chris will look into that, that way it'd save a ton of money,
Mhm.
just doing the maintenance stuff, keep ourselves.
Yeah.
Sounds like a training mission for the fire department.
I'm on my phone.
Any other council input? We had our mayor's meeting on the 21st in Williamsburg, and the Mayor's Association made a motion to do trick-or-treat night, October 31st, from 6 to 8. So I am asking our council now to make a motion to that effect.
I'll make
a motion.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a second, so trick or treat here in the village will be October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Yes,
Need a vote.
I know, got that for you. I'm clarifying the motion. Kevin, roll call please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Campbell.
Yeah.
Ms. Krafka.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
All right, I have some more information. And I will turn the floor to Julia, so you can tell them about what you found out about undedicated streets.
The question was raised about controlling parking on undedicated streets, and there is authority out there that would permit the village to do that, to regulate parking on undedicated streets. So I'm gonna start drafting some legislation to that effect.
So the streets we have undedicated, the police will be able to patrol those and also ticket those violators for speed and parking. We are.
Well, just parking.
Is it parking? We are currently putting no parking signs up. We've got with the homeowner association, they have no problem with doing that. And right now, I think Woodside Park and the other one was Charmelie. So we are presently getting ready to install those. We've got, I met with Kroger's Little Clinic, and they are wanting to sponsor the Mile with the Mayor. It will start the first Saturday in November, and there will be information coming out to the public about that. encourage everybody to come. It'll be a really good time.
It'll be an ongoing thing.
It will be ongoing through November to February 1st, and at that time, the person with the biggest percentage of loss weight will then receive a gift and a letter and a plaque from the village. So, in a roundabout way, if you want to be the biggest loser in Amelia,
Now's your
come
chance.
on down, now's your chance. So,
Will we have cupcakes and cookies?
we'll do cupcakes and cookies for that meeting.
No.
I'm pretty excited.
Orange.
I'll be there on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. at Spencer Shank. Each and every Saturday until the program's done. The rain date will be the Sunday if we have rain on Saturday. And our vice mayor has graciously accepted to do Sunday if for some reason, or Saturday, I can't make those appointments, so.
Oh, it's nice of you.
I don't think so, Tim. Or Todd, sorry.
He hasn't seen that memo yet, but it's coming.
But I will be there on Saturdays.
So I'm pretty excited. It's a good way for everybody to get out and meet each other and get healthy for the new year. I think that is all I have. Have anybody else have anything else? Yes, sir.
Just for council's information, I will be on vacation the week of October 7th. I believe there's a council meeting that Tuesday.
October 8th. I will make sure we find someone to fill in. Anything else? If not, our next council meeting will be Tuesday, October 8th, 2013. And we will have someone filling in for Mr. Kevin. And if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to
Make
adjourn.
a motion, we adjourn.
A motion to adjourn, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.